This week's Raw rating was not great, and following on from that, the third hour was the least watch hour in Monday Night Raw history, which is doubly crazy because there was 2 title matches in that 60 minutes, so what the hell is going on? Now, of course, we can't just ignore the global pandemic that's happening, because wrestling without fans is like ice cream without cookie dough. What the hell are we even doing? With that said, the drop-off is far higher than expected, and there is a bunch of things that WWE probably needs to do to stop this rot happening so that when audiences can come back into arenas, we are on the pathway to Glory Town. Before people go nuts too, yes, I am a bald asshole, but I love WWE, and really, I just love wrestling. But you'd have to be burying your head in the sand right now not to notice this stuff. So here's 5 things that WWE needs to do in order to save Raw. Why? Here's why. I didn't really connect, I didn't say the right words, but let's do it anyway. I'm going to start with the most controversial one because instantly people just start screaming at me, but what about the money, Simon? And yes, I'm aware, I know what a business is. Financials are almost the most important thing because without that, you don't have anything to build on. I do have a brain, it's a very, very small brain, but I use it as best as I can. The point is, scrap the third hour. In no universe can anybody say that this is helping when it comes to viewership. And going back to what I said in the intro, you can just see that nobody wants to tune in because again, we had 2 title matches in the third hour and everybody decided to go and do something else. Like, I don't know, sit on the couch and stare into the abyss. Also, if money is going to be a problem because you do get rid of it, well, you can do a number of things and here's 2. Number 1 is figure out another way to balance the books, and number 2 is to start considering that no matter how much this 60-minute chunk is worth now, how much is it actually going to be worth if fans and viewers keep going down and down and down? I mean, the NFL isn't even back then, and what the earth is going to happen when the National Football League comes back? It's just going to steamroll. Given this is a super long-term one, nothing needs to happen instantly, but it certainly should be being discussed, and also you need to start seeing how it's affecting your engagement. Because while now the financials are more important, engagement and money sometimes go hand in hand. I mean, I missed, but that's not the point. Because think about it, how much is a TV show worth if nobody is watching it? I know that's taking it to the extreme, but think of everything you've seen in the 6-7 months of 2020. If I had told you, if I had floated into your room and gone, I'm Simon Miller, and I'm gonna predict the future, and I told you all these things, you would have got a gun and shot me. But like, what are you doing? I'm a ghost. We've also said it before, but I'll say it again here in case you missed those other videos. Nothing is enjoyable or fun for 3 hours. And for the potty-minded people in the audience, that includes sex. For example, if you're a man and you try to have sexual intercourse for 3 hours, your penis is gonna be red raw. And given the word I just said, isn't that ironic? Moving on to the second point, we gotta stop with all the goofy finishes. And this is coming from a guy that likes a little bit of ridiculousness in his wrestling, but it's like anything in this crazy life, moderation is key, and instead Raw has just become the crazy, mad funhouse where clean endings never happen. The best way to prove this is by talking about the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, because should wrestling companies across the globe be using a shock cradle to get the win here and there? Of course they should. It's a great way to make fans feel like, oh my gosh, he caught him, I never see it coming. But if you do it week in, week out, it gets boring, the law of diminishing returns. I mean, there has been 56 on WWE TV since March 2020. So we take all those stats and try and figure it out for the entire year, we could round that up to 80, and I am confident to say that 80 halfway through of a single 12-month period is too much. My main thinking with this is everything that happened between Sasha Banks and Asuka. So if we just calm down for a second and take a step back, what a creative finish WWE did come up with. I'm sure it took a little bit of thinking, I'm sure they all came together, and I'm sure they thought, wow, this is gonna play out great. And it would have done, but again, all you get is finishes like this every single week. You see 2 wrestlers kick each other's ass, you get excited to find out who's gonna win and who's gonna be the better man or woman, and then you don't get that at all, and slowly it just chips away at your investment and it educates you, well, you shouldn't really buy into this stuff, there's something kooky about to go down. It's also not great for new watchers, and I know this because they tell me. Anytime I try and get somebody to watch, all I get is text messages going, none of this makes any sense, then I have to stick my head in the toilet to cleanse myself. 3 and 4 kind of tie into each other, and right now I'm going to prove how stupid I am, intentionally so, because twice during this video so far I have mentioned the double championship matches we had on Raw, but the truth is, we didn't have 2 of them, we only had one. Dolph Ziggler versus Drew McIntyre was meant to be for the WWE title, but then quietly over the weekend, World Wrestling Entertainment just scrapped the championship aspect because one of the powers that be must have gone, oh no, wait, we can't do that because we want to start building Randy Orton versus Drew for SummerSlam, so if we all stay really quiet, maybe nobody will notice. We're nerds, WWE, we always notice. The point is, just keep your story straight. I can't handle having to go back a week and listen to what is said there just to ensure that I'm not losing my mind. And again, I always do this because I've already pointed it out, I am a geek. And every time you're like, nope, they just change their minds. The Roman Reigns situation is the greatest example of this, because in the world of kayfabe, we are still meant to believe that Roman just left and went away and no one bothered to chase after him. And then Braun Strowman just inserted himself in. I mean, there was no reason. It's just Michael Cole went, oh, it's Braun Strowman Goldberg. And they expect us to go, oh, okay. We just have absolutely no idea. And while it doesn't matter because it's just wrestling, when we're talking about like this, well, it winds me up a little bit. And there's dozens of these too, so let's not waste our time. But even if we pop over to SmackDown for a second, what the hell happened to the hacker? And that's a double kick up your rectum, because it's exactly what happened with GTV back in the Attitude Era, which was the same gimmick, and we never had a resolution to that either. I mean, what other program does this so constantly and gets away with it? The answer is zero. And it's almost as if WWE has so many shows, they can keep hurling them at your face to such a degree that they expect to just move on. I've already said this, we don't. The tie-in then, and point number 4, is the stop hot shotting angle. Because if you don't know, Asuka was meant to retain her Raw Women's Championship at Extreme Rules, but Vince McMahon, who got worried about the TV ratings, went, no, look, we can do this story instead, and then we can do Sasha versus Asuka on Raw and on whatever else we want to do, and maybe we'll get those numbers up. And that's fine too, it makes sense, but then all of a sudden Stephanie McMahon is involved, who we haven't seen in 72 years, and all the rules don't make any sense, and we're trying to act like Asuka isn't the champion when clearly she is. The best stories are the ones that are given time to breathe, and they must know this because I've mentioned Sasha Banks already, and she's in a story that's being given time to breathe with Bayley, and it's the best thing on Raw, it's the best thing on SmackDown, and it's the best thing on NXT. And that didn't happen by fluke, it was allowed to get there, and really one of the only asterisks is everything that happened on this past episode of Raw between Asuka and Sasha Banks. Tired of saying it. Finally, and this is my big one, it will surprise no one, we need some new stars. I mean, I love the fact that we keep seeing Bobby Lashley get clean wins on television. We've already mentioned how important that is, but isn't it always just a little bit more of a shame when he beats someone like Mustafa Ali, who only returned to the company a week ago? And I get it, I know, I do, wins and losses don't matter, but I got a little something in my pocket, oh they do. I mean, would Goldberg have been as cool if his streak was 180 to 87? That's not even a streak. We are simple creatures, we are as human beings. If somebody is portrayed to us as a badass, 9 times out of 10 we'll just go, wow, that guy's a badass. And a badass can still lose, don't get me wrong, it's a question of timing, and Ali had only been back on Raw, like I say, for 7 days. Couldn't he have just beaten anyone? Shelton Benjamin was right there. We all know what WWE thinks about him. I also don't get why Aleister Black isn't being treated as he once was. I mean, probably because Paul Heyman has left, but still, surely you can see the potential. And don't even get me started on Rusev. We all know my opinion on Rusev. I think he could have been a true main event player, and now he's just sitting at home on Twitch. I love watching Miro on Twitch. He's very, very entertaining, but it's not where he should be. There is some hope, of course, because Otis is our money in the bank holder. But right now, do I have a worried shaped hole right in my stomach that he's going to do something ridiculous with it, or just lose it entirely? Yes, I do. And is that going to make him any more of a star? My gut says no. We've already discussed my stomach issues. I don't even think it's that hard to implement any of these, it's just gonna take some time, and the worry there is you're gonna have to do it and continue to do it, even though numbers aren't all of a sudden gonna turn around. But they're not gonna reverse without some sort of change, and let's be honest, nothing I've said here is a revelation. I haven't just invented the light bulb, it's just old school standard wrestling stuff, which I truly believe will work when you're patient, and there's this word again, when you let it breathe. You know what happens when things don't breathe? They die. Look, watch this. I mean, are you kidding me? I'm not going to stand here and hold my breath till I collapse. What are you thinking? And of course, the big question is, well, will this even work? And you know what? It may not. But what I do know more for sure is that if you keep walking down this path, I have no idea where the future is. I have to bring Marty McFly and Doc and get in the DeLorean. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all this, and try and keep it nice and civil. I know it's ratings, but don't start shouting other companies or anything like that. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture. It's free. You just go click. Head over to whatculture.com where you can read articles like this. Follow What Culture on Twitter at What Culture WWE, and watch more videos here, pow pow, on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture, and I just want to clarify, because people always think these are like, oh, he's so biased, he's so biased. I tell you what I'm biased towards: wrestling. Wrestling is the greatest thing in the world. It makes me happy. It's brought me so much joy, and that's why I want to see WWE start climbing the ladder again. And wrestling love ladder matches. It all ties in.